Introduction. Date: August 24th, 79 AD. A city in the south of Italy, Pompeii. As the sun lit the slopes of Mount Vesuvius, the city slowly awakened. Some were baking fresh bread in ovens, others filled pitchers from the fountains in the streets, and the children still asleep for the very last time. Episode 1. The Jewel of the Empire. Pompeii was one of the most prestigious port cities of the Roman Empire. Trade flourished, streets were paved with stone, and walls were adorned with vibrant frescoes. The rich lived in lavish villas. The slaves worked in the bustling markets. But no one, not a single soul, knew that the mountain looming above them was a volcano. Episode 2. The Cracking Silence. As the day approached noon, the heat intensified on Pompeii's stone-paved streets, and the markets grew louder. Yet beneath the ground, an unseen fury continued to rise, one that no one above could hear. Minor tremors persisted. Some began to notice new cracks on the walls of their homes. Some believed the gods were angry. Others mocked the traders from Rome who warned Vesuvius might be an active volcano. That very morning, a priest at the temple collapsed. The well water began to smell of sulfur. Animals, gripped by an unknown fear, tried to flee the city. No one realized it yet, but Vesuvius was preparing to break a silence that had lasted for tens of thousands of years, and Pompeii was left alone with its fate. Episode 3. When the Sky Split Open. That morning, the sky above Pompeii appeared calm, but deep within, Vesuvius could no longer contain its immense force. Around 10 a.m., a deafening explosion tore through the sky. A massive column of smoke shot upward, casting a shadow over the city. At first, people didn't understand. Some prayed in temples, others stayed indoors, hoping it would pass. But soon, the stones began to fall. It was not a metaphor. Stones, actual volcanic rocks called pumice, rained from the sky, striking the ground at over 150 kilometers per hour. Some tried to flee, others stayed to protect their homes, but it was already too late. The roofs collapsed under the weight. Houses fell, one by one, burying those within. A father tried to shield his children beneath the stairs, but the roof collapsed in seconds. A woman praying in the street was buried beneath falling stones. Today, all that remains of her is a hollow space in the ash. Perhaps her last words were God, or maybe just help. Episode 5. Frozen in Time. Pompeii could no longer breathe. Stones and ash had rained for hours, burying streets in silence. The volcanic clouds had swallowed the sun. The air was hot, heavy, and filled with death. People had hidden in temples, in basements, praying for salvation. But they didn't know the volcano's deadliest weapon hadn't arrived yet. Around 4 p.m., Vesuvius unleashed something invisible but unstoppable: pyroclastic flows. Scorching gas and ash, moving at 300 kilometers per hour, descended from the mountain. It wasn't just hot. It was over 500 degrees Celsius. Nothing could survive. Wood, stone, flesh, all incinerated in seconds. And just like that, everything stopped. People froze in place, bodies stiffened and collapsed instantly. Ash poured over them, preserving their final moments. They weren't statues. They were voids in the earth. Later, archaeologists would fill those voids with plaster and bring the last moments of the Pompeians back to life. A woman embracing her child. A soldier seeking shelter. A man kneeling in prayer. They're all still there, frozen, for 2,000 years. Not just fossils, but screams. Echoes of a tragedy that never had time to be stopped. Episode 6. After everything turned to ash. When Vesuvius finally fell silent, Pompeii had already vanished. The silence that followed the eruption seemed peaceful, but it was the silence of death. The mountain had poured all its rage onto the city, and now stood still like nothing had happened. Where once there had been streets, homes, statues, there was now only a gray, flat land. No rescuers came. No message reached Rome in time. Time had forgotten this place, but history hadn't. Centuries later, when the ground was broken by shovels for the first time, a stone road appeared. Then, a mosaic. Then, something else. People, frozen in time. The city remained untouched. The frescoes were still on the walls. Loaves of bread still sat inside the ovens. Pitchers of wine rested on tables. It was as if life had paused, just for a moment. But the people had never left. They were still there, asleep in eternity. Witnesses of a disaster, remembered not by their words, but by their bodies. Today, when millions walk through Episode 7, The City Beneath the Earth. After the eruption, Pompeii vanished for centuries. The fertile land eventually became home to olive groves and grazing goats. No one knew a city lay buried below. For more than 1,000 years, the traces of the disaster remained hidden beneath the soil. Empires rose and fell, but Pompeii silently waited beneath the dust. Then, in 1748, a laborer struck something hard while digging. A stone road. Then walls with frescoes. Then statues. And finally, a strange, contorted human figure turned to stone. At first, no one understood what they had found, but slowly the truth emerged. This wasn't just a Roman town. This was a moment frozen in time. Pompeii looked as if someone had taken a photograph the moment life ended. Homes were still arranged. Fruit bowls sat on tables. Charred bread lay inside ovens. Messages were scrawled on the walls. "Be right back," one read. But no one ever returned. The most haunting discoveries were the bodies. There weren't statues. The ash had encased the bodies, and after centuries, only empty spaces remained. Plaster was poured into those voids, and the result was a glimpse into the past, into death itself. A mother hugging her child, a slave still bound in chains, a man mid-prayer. Time had stopped. Fear had turned to stone. Every artifact told a story, a letter, a ring, a scribble, silent but powerful echoes of a life once lived. Pompeii's ruins weren't just archaeological, they were emotional. Because Pompeii doesn't just tell us who died, it reminds us how they lived. Episode 8, The Echo of Silence. Pompeii is no longer a city. It is a living reminder. Its stone streets, frescoed walls, and frozen bodies speak louder than words. Every year, millions come to witness this silence. But this is no ordinary museum. Every stone, every artifact, every plaster cast carries the weight of a final moment. You see a child turn to stone, unable to say goodbye. A home still decorated, though its family has been gone for millennia. Words scratched into the walls are still visible. "I was here," one says. And yes, they were here. And now we are. 2,000 years have passed, but memory has not. Pompeii is not just an entry in a history book. It's a mirror held up to life's most painful truth. Nothing lasts. All our power, luxury, civilization, none of it stronger than the earth beneath our feet. Even today, Vesuvius still stands, silent, but watching. Scientists warn it may erupt again. Episode 9. The Disaster That Was Never Forgotten. Pompeii was destroyed, but its story survived. Vesuvius didn't just erase a city, it ended an era. But it also left behind a message that echoed across centuries. Nothing is permanent. Everything can change in an instant. The stone streets, graffiti on walls, and petrified bodies aren't just relics of the past, they are warnings for the present. Each year, millions visit Pompeii. Some come out of curiosity, some in awe of history. But when they see a mother turned to stone, still holding her child, everyone falls silent, because words fail. That single image whispers a truth no book can teach. Humanity is fragile. Pompeii is not just about destruction, it's also about science and hope. The discoveries made there not only connect us to the past, but help us protect the future. Today, people still live on the slopes of Vesuvius. Modern cities, modern lives. But the mountain hasn't moved, and it hasn't died. That's why Pompeii is not only a story of the past, it's a warning for tomorrow. Episode 10. Silent Witnesses. The stone bodies of Pompeii still speak. 2,000 years have passed, but their screams echo from within the ash. Time didn't erase them, it made them eternal. We may not know their names, but we've seen their faces. A mother embracing her child, a soldier collapsed by a wall, a child, eyes closed. These images are carved into human memory. When you walk through Pompeii today, you don't just see stones, you see yourself, because this story isn't only theirs, it's ours. We build cities, we build futures, but nature still whispers to us, remember, you are temporary. Pompeii isn't just the past, it is a mirror, and every day it reminds us, life is fleeting, delicate, but stories, if told, can live forever. That's why Pompeii is still here. A human story rising from the ash,